Go to TAPgiles.com to learn dreams, engage my services, and support the channel. So this is a character from the Dungeon Crawler template from Media Molecule, and it has like an attack animation, and I've kind of taken it apart a bit to be able to teach some things based on how to get this kind of stuff working nicely. Yeah, if you play it, it's got a nice swing to it. Okay, so it's got like the animation of actually moving the sword like that, and it's got the sound in it. It's got a health modifier in front of it, so that triggers while the sword is around that area. The kind of naive approach to this would be to have a controller sensor, and normally this would be on possessable mode, and probably you turn on forced possession, so when you go into play mode you're already controlling the character. But for now I'm going to use remote controllable, so that I can like if I go here I can just like press buttons in edit mode and it will send signals. So if we use square to activate our attack, and then we just play time, I can press square and it does an attack. By default a timeline is on sustain mode, which means if I tap square it just plays a tiny bit, and if I like hold square it keeps playing until I let go. And if it's already at the end or it hasn't started yet, then it'll start playing from the beginning. But if we like let go and then I hold square again, it will start from wherever it got to. So that's not what we want. We want to go from the start to the end every time. And that's what once mode is for. So every time we go from not pressing square to pressing square, it will go from not powered to powered, and that will automatically drag it back to the beginning and play it all the way to the end. So press square and it plays all the way to the end. But if we like press square while it's in the middle, if I just slow this down so you can see, then it's going to cut off and start from the beginning again. And we don't want that to happen. We want it to just keep going to the end and not be able to start a new one until it's finished. So now I'll fix that. So for that we can have a node, and we put the trigger into the power of this just as before, but then we would just put everything into this node. So the square will go into the node, not directly into the timeline. So that means we can turn that node off when we want to not be able to press square anymore. So for example, if I had this just open like that and we play time and I start it playing and then I turn that off and press square again, nothing happens. So while this is playing, we don't want this node to be on, and that will stop it from re-triggering to play from the start again. So let's add another keyframe, and that turns that node off, and I'll give it the color of the node, which is kind of yellowy, and we'll call this block re-trigger. So now it can't be re-triggered until it's got all the way to the end of the timeline. So let's try that again, and I'll press square and it doesn't re-trigger at all until it gets right to the end. And now if we press triangle on the playback speed to reset it to the default, then it still won't let me do another attack in the middle of it. Maybe we want to have it only go up to there or something, so that you're allowed to trigger another attack when it gets to here, and you can just adjust the keyframe to do that. Yeah, so you might have like, let's say we had more of a follow through. Oh, it already did that. Let's just drag that out. So if we look at the animation we have already, it goes across and then back, and then it kind of starts coming forward again. So I've moved this so that it has a longer swing like that. And you could say we can't do it until that whole long swing is completed, or we could say you only have to do like half the swing before you're allowed to do a new one. But when you just do a swing and let go, then it has this nice like extra long recovery animation bit. Another thing is, if we play and now I just hold square, it keeps on re-triggering itself, because if you think about what's happening, it plays through that and I'm still holding square, but it doesn't get through because the node is off. And then we get here, and then I'm still holding square and the node is on. And then it lets it through and re-triggers. But we don't want that to happen either. We want to say you have to do a discrete new press of square. So then we have a signal manipulator, and we can wire that into there, and then use the pulse on input on, which is a bit of a mouthful, but it means when the input square goes from off, you're not holding square, to on, you are holding square, then it will send a pulse, and that's just a brief signal. So it'll only if we look at the face of this, you can see what's going on. If I put it onto normal mode, then it's just sending it right through, and it's got a signal coming in and a signal going out until I let go. But if we go onto pulse mode, now it just sends a brief signal, and I'm still holding square, but it's not sending a signal forevermore. It won't send a signal until I let go, and then I press it again, and then it does another pulse. So that's kind of what we want for our sword swing. So let's do the pulse first, and then the node, which can be blocked or unblocked, and then the attack. So now when I press square, it doesn't keep on triggering. I have to like actually press it more than once. So this character also has a ranged attack. So if I actually play like here, I can use the right stick to aim the ranged attack and R2 to shoot, but I have no bolts. So let's just give it some bolts. Okay, so now I can shoot bolts and stuff. But if I try to swipe and then shoot, it kind of interrupts each other. So while I'm swinging the sword, it's still swinging before I can, while I'm shooting, which doesn't make much sense. And if I shoot and then use the sword, it kind of the sword interrupts the shooting as well. A simple solution for this is to turn the ranged attack chip off, because everything to do with the ranged attack is in there. So if I have another keyframe, we can turn that off. Cool, so now if I play, if I use the sword, I can't shoot until the sword is complete. And that should probably go through the whole animation, because otherwise this animation will interfere with the ranged animation. So sword, there we go. So that's kind of blocking the ranged attack from working until the attack is complete. And the ranged attack doesn't need to understand about anything else outside of this. And this doesn't, if this was like in a chip, which would make sense, then this sword attack doesn't need to know about the range attack. It just has this one keyframe that just turns it off. And you could do the same thing for whatever's going on in the ranged attack. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something interesting. Go to patreon.com/TAPgiles to learn something new every day.